Welcome to Boot Camp 4. So nice to actually still have real people here. We've had wonderful walks, and I really feel like a lot of you are getting into the spirit of boot camp. You're moving yourself forward a little bit. You're making things happen. This is the time of year to start the rest of your year. So with that, we're going to our quotes. The harder you work, the harder it is to surrender. Ever feel like that? First of all, you're in a deal, you put so much in, you don't want to give it up. There are times to quit. I will tell you, Freakonomics does a whole episode on sometimes you do win. Sometimes, like we saw in Fiasco, they didn't give up when they should have given up. But for the most part, the more you invest in your health, the more you invest in your relationships, the more you invest in your business, the harder it is to surrender. John Wooden, don't let making a living prevent you from making a life. There are people in this boot camp who are making tons of money, but their life is pretty compromised. They haven't figured out the Ramsey yet. If you learned anything from Ramsey, it's that he just gets up and tackles the day. And then when he does what he's supposed to do, he gives permission to himself. We don't do that, because there is always more to do. But if you've had a very specific list about what needs to happen, then you can go on your lobster boat, or you can go play in your garden, or you can go have fun with your kids. Those things are important. All right, quote of the day, you get it directly.
Marcus, what do you got for me?
Coach Lasso, how are you feeling about the team's efforts today?
I feel like everyone played their hearts out, especially Saint. Just gets better and better every game. He's really helping us fill that giant Roy Kent void.
And how many more matches do you think can end in a draw before you hit the panic button?
Well, Marcus, there's two buttons I never like to hit, all right, and that's panic and snooze. Who else?
In real estate, people hit the panic button really fast. Listen, I get it. Things go wrong. If things didn't go wrong, and people knew how to stage and put their house on themselves and knew how to price it, and then home inspections were glorious, fun times to just learn about your house. If that's the way it was, they wouldn't need us. This job, you are hired, you are paid because it is problematic. You are here to solve problems. But the minute you experience a crisis, it's 10 times worse for your clients. Bill Butler was just so engaging the other day about when things go wrong. Ask the right questions. And you have that list. That was just magnificent. So, there's two buttons I never like to hit. That's panic and snooze. The other one is, think about that. If you're going to reframe who you are, we're going to talk about your identity later today. Are you the kind of person that hits the snooze button? Or are you the one that gets up because you're supposed to get up? For those of you who have never seen it, I will have Bianca send out the Mel Robbins 5-second rule. It's just a great reminder. It's a wonderful talk. It's totally bootleg. A friend of mine taped her. It's an hour long, but it's great. We'll post it up. Pat Summit. Success is a project always under construction. There was a line in Ted Lasso that, the novice is always on the path to success. The expert who doesn't stay on the path of learning is not an expert for very long. It's continual. All big things come from small beginnings. The seed of every habit comes from a single, tiny decision. When we discuss Atomic Habits Day, it's all about your decisions every day, all day long. And again, you do not rise to the level of your systems. You fall to the level, you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. All right, fun things. Zev, when I saw this, I didn't get a chance to say it the other day, but it took me 40 years plus boot camp to realize that there's a gym right below my feet. Anybody who was with us at yoga the other day experienced that. There's all kinds of things you can do without going to the gym, without owning a Peloton. There is a gym under your feet all day long. No excuses. Did you know, this just came out, that these are the most expensive zip codes in the country? Anybody want to hazard a guess as to where 02199 is?
Is there Beacon Hill?
It's Back Bay. You want to know where is it though? What's been selling for crazy money? Not the South End. It's in Back Bay. It's over where the Mandarin is. The Four Seasons, One Dalton.
Oh.
All right, does that make sense? And by the way, this is a cool thing to know and exactly why my heart is broken and my daughter wants to move to Minneapolis. It's so sad. All right, that's that block, right? It's right off of Newbury, but it's not in Newbury. It's all on Huntington Avenue in Boylston. As realtors, you should know that. Isn't that a fun fact? Can you see yourself tweeting that information? That's the thing you get from colleagues here, are fun things. And then when you say, oh, Lauren O'Brien or Aldo just did that, you know what? They have a different sphere of influence except for the same old realtors. Who cares? Your people haven't seen it. Share that stuff. By the way, this is the most expensive single family in Massachusetts last year. Anybody want to guess where this is? You should know. Where is it? Yeah, it's the Barnstable one. Nice job, Julie.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Okay, last year it was Brookline for, was it 30? It was on for 33 million. But this one sold for, I mean, under 20. I mean, what a fire sale. And here we are over at the Mandarin. This actually sold for more, of 21.5. Pretty interesting. I think those are interesting sofas for that. Staging, but she got her money. All right. Two things I want to point out from Virginia Ton. One of my goals this year is to maximize tech and use it to my advantage to make me more efficient and organized. How about that? That's little bit. She keeps biting off little bites. Use the systems. Don't have to do crazy cloud HQ. Just get on our Moxie. Make sure everyone's getting neighborhood news and you're using the letters. It's as simple as that. And then she did listen to the podcast, Giant Pool of Money. Someone said to me yesterday, I think it was Juliet, did you ask us to listen to that because to depress us? That was awful. The greed in that was unconscionable. But every single agent needs to understand how the last housing crisis happened. What was going on with mortgages and what's different? By the way, the next time prices plummet, it won't be because of this. Because we fixed that problem. We're not lending more money to people than they can owe. Someone makes $45,000 a year or $40,000 and we're going to lend them $540. Those sales, that's crisis. That's unconscionable. And the story I like to tell is Joe Pag, who's been a lender affiliated with this company for a long time, was the only lender I've ever known to call us and say, Linda, someone in your company just put something under agreement. I can get them the loan, but they can't pay it back. Nobody else that I know did that. What does that tell you about that person? Right? Amazing. Let's go find him a house he can afford. Oh, there's one more thing there. Oh, okay, the greed is the main reason I became a realtor. Her story is pretty interesting. I won't have time for it now, but she got snookered and said, I can do a better job. And Virginia's having the year of her life. She didn't start out at this mega producer level that she's at right now. She had tough years. Hang in there. Nathan Seavey. Whenever I find myself scrolling on social media, I will put my phone down and count to 10. If I still want to keep scrolling, okay, but most of the time I do not. You got to just disengage. What a great, is that the tiniest 1% habit to keep you from an hour and a half spiral? Aldo, all of you, but the best thing is this title here. Do you love it? Tell me this is your first flip without telling me this is your first flip. That's the hot water pipe. That, guys, you see stuff all the time, right? What an opportunity. Now, is he saying, I have a new listing? Is he saying, I'm a great realtor? No. You know he's in houses. He's just reminding you of what he's doing. I will tell you, the little reminders have nothing to do with anything. I have a friend who's an attorney at Mintz. Now, we did all of our big litigation at Safe Shop. They were awesome. But this particular attorney, whenever he sees anything about my competition or an article, he just says, thinking of you. Just like Heidi sent Ted Lasso, have you checked this out? You don't have to talk about real estate at all. Do you know we just moved all of our stuff with our new little venture in Zinnia over to Mintz? Why? I know Kurt's going to take care of me. And you know what it was? It wasn't, I already knew he was a competent attorney. He's in my CEO group. He's amazing. That wasn't enough. I knew he was competent. He just kept reminding me he cared over the last couple of years. And now he's got an account. And it wasn't law related that he sent me. Nothing you can't all do. Kate, Ken, and Cody, better at tackling the mail as soon as it comes in. I need the touch it once rule. There was a book called Touch It Once. They wrote an entire book, and you know what it said? Here's the Cliff Note version. When you get an email or you got a piece of mail, just take care of it right that minute, and it gets done. I loved it. My accountant this year did something different. Usually they give me 3 weeks to send in the engagement letter and my mileage for my vehicle. You know what he did this year because he said it was more effective? He said, I send it out the day before I want it because then everyone has to take care of it now. If it gets pushed off, he said, I have to send 3 reminders. It's like I love a spontaneous party. Either you can make it or you can't. And this brings me to another thing that I see in your emails that I just want to talk about. It's the word try. If you've been into boot camp before, you know I hate that word. If I'm having a dinner party and you say, oh, Linda, I'd love to stop by. I'm going to try to make it. I don't know if I can set the table. Do I need to buy you a steak? I don't know. That is so rude to do to people. If you've been asked about the hot chocolate thing, I'm going to try to make it, doesn't cut it. That means, that's basically saying no. I hear no. When you say, I'm going to try to sign up for a yoga class this week, you haven't committed to going to a yoga class, right? What does try mean? Do you do that to your friends? When a potential seller calls you and says, I want to list my house, you know what? I'm going to try to make it over on Friday. Do you say that? You don't say that? Why? Because that's important. You make a date. I'm going to try to go on the walk, Linda? No, you didn't prioritize it. Everything in your life you can either try or you can commit to doing. It's your choice. As Yoda says, there is no try. There's only do or do not do. Something to think about. Katie Gillis, respond to last of the leads that came in from my ads, working on an ad to help a family member find their new home in Billerica. This woman is killing it on Facebook ads. She's bringing in business. Now, it's not for everybody. I think Katie likes to be behind her computer. She's very technologically savvy. For those of you who wonder what she's doing, she did an amazing event for our 8:30 in the morning focus calls. And she told all her secrets. I love that people in this group will tell all their secrets. Is she threatened? No. She has a totally different sphere of influence on social media than you do. Do you know what other companies, they don't do that? I don't want them to know how I get listings. I don't want them to know what I'm doing. I don't want them to see what folder I'm working on. It's not the experience we have. It's like, I just went on this listing and you get help. People collaborate. It's a beautiful thing. All right, I think Juliet put this out saying, old friend who I sent a hello video to, a la Michelle Joslin, referred me to a colleague today for a buyer. Yay, boot camp and inspiring colleagues. But here's the best part of the follow-up, is Michelle Joslin wrote this. She wrote, a big thank you to Linda and my fellow boot campers for their positive and kind words about video messages. The Michelle of 10 years ago would not have been comfortable doing these messages or sharing them. I used to repeat these 2 quotes from past boot camps right before hitting the record button. Don't overthink it and embrace your weird. We're going to be embracing our weird on Friday. And who will be guest starring but our own crazy, weird Ann Mann. All right? which is the most interesting contrast to our other guest speaker, Nancy Pilata. They could not be more different, and they're the two top earning agents in our office. And I paired them on purpose for you. You know why? Because they're so different and they're both hugely successful. If your only takeaway is that I can do it too, that's what it's for. Okay, Ray, 17.4 miles an hour on your Peloton? Sam, I love Samuel.
I should screenshot a higher output.
Yeah, you're in the middle of your thing here. But I was that, that's, you can go ride with Debbie Chandler. That's
Look forward to it.
that is really quite fast. I do that downhill, just so you know. We were outside on our walk. And I can't tell you how pleased I am that people went out when it was 3 degrees. Some people it was negative and the wind chill factor was crazy. These are no excuse people. I'm going to find a time. Faith, I can't believe you were, I would not have picked that day to go cross-country skiing. It was a freezing cold day, but you had fun. Being outside in the sunshine. Our walk yesterday was beautiful. Howie and I went arm in arm around. I want to tell you about Howie. I'll tell you, he was breathing heavy. As you may recall, 2 years right after boot camp, he had a stroke. He's been inside. We were 0.54 into it, and I went, Howie, do you want to keep going, or do you want to do a mile? We'll go back. And he's like, I will die before I do not finish this. And who was with us the whole time? It was Aldo. And I think Howie was grateful because we could talk, because Howie couldn't even talk. But he finished. Be inspired by Howie. And Tim Curtin's out there, and Amy Kirsch is out there, and Mara, and Chris, and Ann. We had a great time. By the way, we're going to have a walk on the Charles next Thursday, after boot camp. That is my favorite walk, 4 o'clock, the Longfellow Bridge. Let's go. You'll get an email, but it's lovely. Plan it. Don't try to come, because that's BS. You want to come, come. All right, there's Howie, but better yet, look what Ray Durling's doing. Talk about a daredevil. That's an ice patch. He had to hop over the water to get on it. I know he's a skater and all, but I just thought that, I'm sorry I missed that in person. All right, there we are. Those are the people who did the second lap. Some of us went for, I think we did 4.5 miles yesterday combined. Oh, there we go again. All right. All right, I'm going to ask everybody here to close your eyes. All right? You're going to have them closed for a little bit. Do you mind closing? Okay, close your eyes. Okay, now you're thinking, what is Linda up to? All right. Okay, is everyone ready? You're going to have 3 seconds when you open your eyes. Right? Now, there is a very good scout volunteer that is standing at my side. I want you to look him over, and I want you to look him over good. All right? You're only going to have 3 seconds, and I'm going to count. Are you ready? Open your eyes. Go. Okay, close your eyes. You sit down. All right. Now, I have a hand mic, and this is really important. You can't talk unless you talk into the mic. But that gentleman isn't even a realtor yet, but he's already in boot camp. That's the one thing I will tell you. And I'd like you to tell me about him. So open your eyes. So have you thought about this guy? What do you know about him now that you've seen him? Right?
Looks professional.
He looks professional.
Looks friendly.
He looks friendly.
Tall.
He's tall, right.
Well dressed.
He's very well dressed. Del?
I feel like they've covered it.
Pardon?
I feel like they've covered it.
You don't know
He's
anything
younger,
else about him?
Younger,
He's younger.
well
He's a handsome
groomed.
guy, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. What do you know about his personality, Jamila?
He had a nice smile.
He had a nice smile. What does that mean?
Make him warm and want to talk to him.
You make
Easier
him-
to talk to.
Yeah, how about that? Oh, look at you. Megan's going, please, God, do not talk to me. What do you think about? No, she's not.
Tie, I love the tie.
You love the tie.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to know more about him. Can you tell me more about this guy?
Who can tell me more about him? Oh, Denise, you're going to tell me more about him?
He's a go-getter. He's already here.
He's a go-getter. He's already here. What else do you know? You know anything else, Dana?
He's pretty brave to get up there and let you, have everybody analyze him.
How about that? Do you know what's best? I didn't even tell him what I'm doing. I just said, would you dress up today? And I figured nobody knew him, so we could make some hypothesis. What do you know about him, Virginia?
He seems confident.
He seems confident. Interesting. What do you know about him?
He seemed pretty confident and relaxed. He had his hands in his pockets and he was just glancing around very casually and at ease.
I want to know more about his personality. No, you know him. You can't. What do you know about his personality?
He seemed comfortable in the situation.
Yeah. Is he going to be a good realtor? I need to know.
I think he looks like he's ready for business.
Yeah. Should I hire him? Should I hire him? Okay. Why did we do this crazy exercise? What is this about? Julie?
That's what I was going to say. Just how quickly you can make an impression.
You had 3 seconds to make an impression. And we already know I should hire him. He's confident. He's easygoing. He's relaxed. He's a good sport. He dresses well. All of those things. We kind of summed the guy up in 3 seconds. And I'm going to tell you, that's the amount of time you get, they say. And after 3 seconds, you have to work hard to change the first impression people have of you. That's science. You know what else has 3 seconds?
Sorry, a house.
A house on the internet. You get 3 crummy seconds to decide whether they're going to click in and find the photos. So we're going to talk about that a lot more today. Thanks for being a good sport. All right, so I have this book. It's called Sex and Real Estate. I want to tell you how far we have come. This is by a Harvard professor, written in 2000. I want to take you back to when people like Steve and Eileen and myself were buying our first houses. Do you know, first of all, before 2001, there were no interior photos on the internet. We referred business in the next town because we hadn't seen the inventory. We didn't know the market. Staging companies? There were no staging companies. When I got into the business, no. Like I said, my kids would come home and say, Mom, where are our rugs? Where are our mirrors? Where did the lamps go? Because I learned myself early on. My mom, Peg Body, who I credit with so many of the great ideas I have, taught us the real way about houses. So one of my first sales ever was Ramsey's parents. Ramsey was just a wee babe. And my mother and I sold my sister a house that was so smelly that you had to fumigate yourself after we left. Let's just say the animals did not always go outside when they should have. It was that bad. My sister still talks about my heroic moment of cleaning the toilet. We would go in at night and literally just peel our clothes off when we left. We made it adorable. Totally inspired by my mom's thinking this is a good idea for her own daughter. She's in real estate. I buy a house that's listed in 1995 as uninhabitable. By the way, I bought it without being able to get into it. I liked the location, and I figured I could fix it. You know who loved this idea more than anyone else? My broker owner at the time. Oh my God, Linda, this is going to be great for business. You have to sell a lot of houses to fix this thing. That was how we looked at it. But my dad said something that really changed the trajectory of my career. And he said, Linda, I just don't understand. They say that the floor, the bathroom upstairs is so moldy, there are mushrooms growing out of the kitchen ceiling, all right? And the only thing my mother could say when we walked in, there was like this really weird light fixture that hung inches above the stove. She said, well, you have gas. Like, that's a good thing. That was about all. It had marble mantles. It had beautiful woodwork, but it had been abandoned for 20 years, and the neighborhood kids were partying in there, in the window seats and things. It was full of, empty bottles, and people had written and autograph their name on my marble mantles, but you can fix those things. You know, I pitch it up for a great price. So my father comes in and says, Linda, I just don't have the vision thing. At the time we're in war, remember the war out in Yugoslavia? She said, this looks like downtown Sarajevo. And I went, I do have the vision thing. And that was the whole premise of so much. Because I did, do you know people have a vision for a house? 8%. Everyone claims to have vision. They're on Pinterest. They've watched HGTV, but they really, really do not have the vision. 8%. That's why we do the things we do to get houses ready. So, sex and real estate in 2000. Think about this. What has happened now? It's more so, it's been on steroids because of COVID. Remember when we wanted summer romance? Now we want a beach house. You can think about all day about having a lover. And instead, people are thinking, I want to remodel. How do you sell kitchens now? Very seductively. Right? That's what we're doing. I love this. House is beloved, the house is mother, the house is body, the dream house, the trophy house, trophy wife, the house is history, the summer house. Just interesting. Those things are important. All right. I love, Tamara put this up. I thought this was great. She said, the power of the written word. Single black female seeks male companionship, ethnicity not important. I'm a very good looking girl who loves to play. Love long walks in the woods, riding in your pickup truck, hunting, camping, and fishing trips, cozy winter nights lying by the fire, candlelight dinners will have me eating out of your hand. When you get home from work, I'll be at the front door wearing only what nature gave me. Call this number and ask for Daisy. And what happens? Over 1,500 men found themselves talking to the Atlanta Humane Society. That's what we're doing. So I'm going to do the atomic habits portion, because if I don't do it now, I have to squish it in, right? But this is important. Do you remember when I said I might insult you? Today's the day. All right? Don't be insulted. I'm trying to create a reality. I want you to really think about your day, what you are, who you are. All right. Without good financial habits, you're struggling for the next dollar. There are some people who are amazing savers. My husband actually, he sweats it for weeks. Should I buy that book? It's like, we can afford a book. He doesn't like to spend money. He's always turning the thermostat down on me. That's, he's hardwired, and I'm definitely a spender, but, I know I've got to be smarter. Every April, there's someone who gets in trouble with the IRS. You've got to establish really good financial habits. But it starts with your consumerism. Do you go out to buy things? Those people who love to shop, their house looks like it. Their houses are full of Amazon box, right? In the malls, that's what they do recreationally. That's how they're spending their time. And I do believe they're trying to satisfy something else. Give themselves a little dopamine hit of buying something. Maybe it's just my age, but boy, when you own a barn and you sell the big house and you get rid of 7/8 of everything you own, and I don't buy anything. We go travel all over Europe. I don't bring anything home unless it's food. I really do buy experiences. I buy food. I want to be with people. At the end of the day, that's all that matters. Without good health habits, you're short on energy. Listen, people get sick. That's fine. But you're creating your own shortage of energy by not taking care of yourself, not exercising, not moving. I will tell you every day you should move outside. I don't care how you do it. Without good learning habits, you're behind the trends. Are you watching old Friends videos? Or are you reading up on something that will help enhance your business? Or are you just reading good fiction so you're improving your vocabulary? You have so many choices. The only thing that everyone has an equal thing at is your time. We all have the exact same 24 hours. How are we spending it? I want you to look very carefully at your day. And every single thing you do, they say it's a habit, but it's a choice. You're in habits by choice. You've made those choices. Habits are how you embody your identity. When I characterize any of you, I can tell you it's because of your habits, whether your hygiene habits, your fashion habits, your health habits, your business success habits, make you who you are. What do you want to stand for? Your habits are your identity, who you are. There are some people like Kristen Weekly, who's going to be speaking later. She's always standing for something. Ever follow her Instagram her stories? She's saving somebody all the time. She's contributing to someone all the time. She's fostering animals. She's donating to someone else. She's helping people. She understands that her mission in real estate is not to make money, it's to really help people, make better investments, talk them out of houses that they shouldn't buy. And she's beloved. And by the way, guess what? She's killing it for her family. What are your principles and values? Do people know that when they see your Instagram? If you're showing them what you're having for dinner, there's not a problem with that. Sometimes you're cooking things and doing great things, but it's hard to understand your principles. But maybe your values are food. What do they know about you? Everything you put online is a micro message of who you are and what you're up to and how you care. Who do you wish to become? Start posting like that person. Start making those decisions the minute you wake up, from the time of, do I hit the snooze button or do I not? Are you the person who wants it? Because you can want it all day long, but you know what? Wanting it won't get it for you. Remember, winners and losers all have the same goals. Or are you the person who is it? James Clear is really, really very specific that the reason people can't change their habits is because they're not changing their identity. The minute you decide to become who you are and you make all those decisions that way, that's when habits change. No amount of willpower will power you through. Sure, it'll last 3 days, you'll make the calls. But until you decide that that's who you are and what you want to do for your business, it won't happen. So that's the fail-safe. True behavior change is identity change. Your identity is your repeated beingness. Just different ways of saying the same thing as you just kind of soak all this in. What story do you tell yourself? Because we have narration. I don't know about you, but I got someone talking in my head all day long. I'm talking to people or talking to myself so much that when I'm in a car and my hands are moving, my husband says, "Who are you talking to?" Because my hands are moving. And there's not talking to him. That conversation is going on right here. As I say in dual agency, I get along great with myself. What proof do you have of your identity? How are you showing yourself that this is the new you? What evidence do you see? And we'll talk about that in a second. So, if you say, I'm a klutz, guess what? You're a klutz. I'm never on time. Oh, I'm never. People who say that, they've just committed as an identity of people who I'm never going to be on time. People who are klutzes, I think you're not having enough water, you're off balance. Drink more. I swear you're balanced. You won't trip as much. Water. I'm not an exerciser. The minute you say that, guess what? You're not an exerciser. I'm not an early riser. I'm a night owl. Now, I know there are a lot of people, even on this boot camp, they're posting their homework at 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning. I get it. But I'm just telling you, if you're in that cycle, you cannot be calling, if you're not getting out of bed till 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, and you're not really getting going until after lunch, you've lost half the day because You can contact people starting at 8:30 in the morning. But you can't start calling them at 9 o'clock at night because you have another 5 hours going. You are missing out on that time. I'm too busy to implement the boot camp ideas I get from colleagues. I'm just too busy. If you decide you're too busy, you're not making that time. You're caught in your whirlwind. Everybody has the time. If Ramsey can sell as much real estate as he does, and so do all the things he does, there is enough time. He just doesn't waste it. He's not a big social media guy. He's trying to be better at it. Each time you make a call, you're a prospector. That's the evidence you're telling to yourself. That's the proof. Every time you invite a prospect for coffee, you're a relationship builder. Every time you start a workout, you're an athlete. Congratulations, Howard, you are an athlete. That's your new identity.
Can we get that in writing?
I can't get Each time you encourage your colleagues, you're a leader. That's leadership. Watch Ted Lasso. Okay, guys, sit tight. Every day you ignore prospecting, want to guess what I said here? You're a slacker. That's your identity. By the way, you're saying that to yourself whether or not you really are saying it. You know it. And the minute you identify as the slacker who doesn't prospect, you're just giving yourself permission to be a slacker. When you make excuses to avoid the important stuff, you're an agent who ignores your business. Each day you choose not to exercise, you're a couch potato. If you spread gossip, whine, or complain to colleagues, you are poison in the office. That's how I see it. Pick your identity. The only way to change habits is to change your identity. Listen, someone offers you a cigarette. You could say, no thanks, I'm trying to quit. But you just said you're a smoker just trying to quit to yourself and to everyone else. Or you could say, no thanks, I'm not a smoker. Do you see the difference? That's what goes on inside your head. Every day you go outside and run, you are an athlete. I will tell you that I'm a little bit addicted to my watch. Right? Every little green dot next to the circle, that means that's a day I exercised. This is important. I will be out in the rain and the cold at 11 o'clock at night if that's when I finally finish. But I close the damn rings. That score is kind of fun. Oh my God, I have to do it. I have to make time today. If you know you're going to be busy all day into the evening, then you better get on the Peloton at 5:30. Or go take a walk. Something. When you make choices, I eat healthy food. I care about my health. When you're willing to do all of the mundane tasks to be successful, you're telling yourself, I am a successful person. When you make your bed, which we talked about the other day, that's that little signal to your body that I'm organized. That's the social proof and evidence to yourself. If you make your to-do list, if you set your weekly plan, you're saying, I've got this. I'm going to, it wasn't the boot camp thing he did this year, but I'd like to bring it back every other year. When Ramsey shows his calendar, here's when I make my to-do list every night. This is when I, in the morning, this is when I write my notes. This is when I prospect. It's all just built in. If he has to move it, he moves it to someplace else in the calendar so that it happens. Every action you take is a vote for the kind of person you are. By the way, elections, does anyone win with 100% of the vote? Sometimes we're voting for ourselves and sometimes we're voting against ourselves. At the end of the day, it's to win, right? To win the election. What would the person who I am trying to be do in this situation? Ask yourself. I know Mary, had boot camp this morning, so she went to a 6 a.m. Bikram. I saw her sliding out to the porch. Made it happen. There's never a day, that she's not exercising. That's her identity. fresh fruit, healthy choices. No one eats more salad. By the way, I think I could never keep up with Mary. I once went on vacation with her and tried to eat whatever Mary ate. I did lose a little weight, but I was miserable. You have to be miserable. I was like, you're having salad like twice a day. That like can't do it, and protein. She's happy, but she has rules about everything. She has 2 indulgences that I've ever seen. Ice cream. She can eat gallons of ice cream. Like when she orders it, it's like she wants the pint. But she never orders ice cream unless she's been on a bike or she has walked 6 miles for it. That's the rule. But she can have it. She also eats berry pancakes. I'm just going to let you know. But it's like when she's on vacation, when she's traveling. I don't think she's ever made one. Never made one. But she'll have seconds of berry pancakes. But she can because she's exercising all the time. But she saves it. Who's the kind of person who could get the outcome I want? If you just say that all the time, what would Lauren O'Brien do right now? What would Joanne do right now? What would Debbie Miller do right now? What's Ray and Judy doing right now? That's a good answer. What's Knock Ann doing? What's Mary doing? Those are things that work. We all saw what Ramsey's doing. Who's the kind of person that learns a new language? Bisha, when we decided to go cycling in Tuscany, said, I'm going to learn Italian. She didn't learn Italian overnight. She just spent that 6 months listening to it, reading children's books. She watched My Brilliant Friend on Netflix, which if you haven't seen it, is a great series. It's all in Italian. It's subtitled, but it's great. Who's the kind of person that earns a Sapphire Award? So I was talking to Pixie this week. Pixie, for the first time, made that Sapphire Club. That enables you, that gives you an invitation to our top producer retreat. That's a big deal. But she didn't just make it, she killed that goal and far exceeded it. When I was talking to her, I think we were on a walk this summer, she said, Linda, you said something to me, about the money. Because I've never really, I like to earn that award and things, but you said something, it was a throw-off comment I'd forgotten. I said, I remember the first time I made $500,000. So when you make $250,000, you're comfortable. You don't have to worry about a car accident or some health bills, right? When you make that kind of money, you kind of get comfortable. You can buy the things and go out more and go on vacation. But when you start to make $500,000, you already have what you want. You live in your place. That's when you can help other people. That's when you have influence on your loved ones. You can change their life. You can pay for school without taking out loans. Things happen. They're amazing. So it's not about the money, but that's why we're going for success. It's now for more than just you. Who's the kind of person that builds $1 million real estate team? There are people like Allison, who is all the systems. Who's the kind of person that can lose 30 pounds? What are they doing? Or get 10 listings this year. What are they doing? Or adopt 3 new systems in my business. You've seen that all over the bootcamp email. There are no good or bad habits, only effective habits. Habits create freedom, like I just said. Does this habit cast a vote for or against my desired identity? The best way to start a new habit? Make the unconscious conscious. Otherwise, it directs your life and you call it fate. So, I can't remember who put this out here. It might have been Diane. It was Diane. Diane Moore. Look at, there's no TV. They set up a living room and there's no TV around it. Why do you watch TV? Because the only place to sit, it's all directed to the TV. Have you thought about that? We're designing our environment to fail. Don't leave a habit up to chance. I'll just remember to do it. Have a predetermined plan. We talked about that. I will do this behavior at a certain time in a certain location. And it can be, I will meditate for 1 minute at 7 a.m. in my kitchen, or after I pour my coffee. I will study Italian for 20 minutes at 6 p.m. in my bedroom, or just before I go to cook dinner. I will exercise for 1 hour at 5 p.m. at the gym. It's in my calendar. I'm working my appointments around that. I will make my partner a cup of tea at 8 a.m. in the kitchen. I will have a running call list and my contacts in my phone. I will reach out to calls whenever I get in the car. There'll be a time. Listen, the chain will break. You're going to screw up. Anybody want to guess when I had COVID? You know the irony there, if you see that in October? The day in the middle that isn't broken, that was the day I was the sickest. That was the day I really had the fever. Right, you know what? Even then I managed to get my exercise in and take a walk. I was using excuses. That's what we do, we give ourselves permission. All right, this is wicked quick. I want to show you. I had an interesting experience with our photographers, and I want to do some before and afters. So I don't get involved, I have to admit. I know my name earns signs for the team, but I don't know what listing. I'm the one that's surprised. I was like, oh my gosh, the team has a new listing. I don't know. I'm so uninvolved in what goes on. But this house is my friend's house. My lamps and rugs are in her house, and so are some of my bedding. It's that kind of friend. I don't like to admit that for years when the team was putting on listings, I never looked at the photos. I had no idea. But when it was my friend's house, I cared about the photos. And then it was like, I can't use these photos. I know we're supposed to launch. We need somebody else. And let me just tell you what my issues were, and you can decide what you like and what you don't like. But I want you to look at these photos and say, what's my photographer doing? Because if you only have 3 seconds to position a house, look how different photographers photographed the exact same property. All right, that's a normal photo. Now the photographer on the left likes to bring the outdoors in. You can see the outdoors. The other photographer likes to wash it out so you focus on the room. That's just interesting. But look how they backed up. Which room looks way better? The house on the right, for sure. Now, not all the photographs on this photographer are the best photographs, but I just want to show you. Oh, by the way, I don't like the light on in the room. I think it takes away. There's the kitchen. You know what my issue with this is? The cabinets aren't that brown. They're just a linen-y color. But look how brown that photographed. Is that good in today's market? No. That's really different. Pay attention to the colors. Another bedroom shot. No one bothered to make sure the door to that master, the primary bathroom, excuse me, shouldn't use master, was open. That's a much better photo. Same room, the different photographer took it from a different angle. What, much better. That booth, just different. I really like the dining room from this angle much better. You see the scale of it better. The light, just caught more windows. Very typical bathroom photo. You got to back up. I don't like either of these photos. What I want to do is move the guy to the right, further to the right, and not get that stairwell. But I like that shot on the right much better. You know what my real issue is? And this is my biggest pet peeve. The ceiling. The cord? Oh. Oh, okay, the light cord. That's one thing. I can't stand all the ceiling. I forgot to point that out in these. The guy on the left, I see way too much. I don't want to see ceiling. I see so much ceiling with this guy. That's why I was like, I need new photos. I don't want to see all these ceilings. Way more ceiling. Ceiling's important to the photographer on the left. Much better on the right. Now, to me, that's how we photographed the foyer. This is the money shot for the whole house. Now, nothing's inherently wrong with the photos on the left. How much better is that photo? That's your lead. Yeah. Okay, this is it's a long, narrow room. This isn't bad, but how much better is that? The garage, no big deal, but they have Tesla chargers. I want to see them. So that's it. Isn't that interesting? Think about what your photographer is doing, what you're getting. All right, I'm going to fly through this. This is paint, cabinetry, and wallpaper trends. Tiny bit of updates. We're going to do this fast. We did this at the business meeting, but it's really important for everyone to know because some of you are always looking for what are the paint colors I should use to paint my house. Well, if the rooms have white woodwork, here are some choices. These can all be downloaded, Courtney. The whole presentation is already up on Moxie. And I think this is under buyers and sellers and marketing because it's used in all three ways. I asked them to put it up in all three places. So, Sherwin-Williams, what colors do you paint the cabinets? Oh my goodness, I think it lost its title. Oh, there we go, kitchen cabinets. All right? So these are the colors we're recommending for colors for cabinets. When you have natural woodwork, it needs to be a warm color. Do not do cool colors. Blue looks really bad with natural woodwork. Any cool color. It should be a warmer white. Paint woodwork. Chantilly lace is used by designers all the time. I'm a white dove. I think white dove goes every house, everywhere, with every color, white dove. And super white for the people, that's a more contemporary color, super, super white. Bathrooms. You don't know what to color paint the bathroom? These are the top bathroom colors according to all the designers. And by the way, not Ann Goldstein, who you'll see later, Michelle Ternullo, and Julie Fish. I thought, who are three people who really just got it going on for taste? Front door pop. It can really change the color. By the way, you'll notice the paint Faro and Ball. Faro and Ball costs $144 a gallon. All right? I noticed this because in my little CEO group, one of the guys said, my wife's painting the house and she's using Faro and Ball paint. I can't believe how expensive it is. And I will tell you now, it's a luxury item. Right? It's just like a Viking appliances or a Wolf stove. You might want to mention Faro and Ball. You're supposed to be impressed if someone says, we use Faro and Ball paint. I want you to go, wow. Ready? You practice that. Colors of the year, quickly. Anybody see a trend going on in colors of the year, right? There are all these greens, right? This is really interesting. This week, RIS Media put this out, and this was the headlines. Paint colors that will motivate buyers. I'm just going to ask my friend, Knock Ann, who I consult, would you be painting your houses green right now? No way. Just because it's a popular, trendy color does not mean it's going to sell houses. Don't believe everything you read, right? This is these colors. I mean, they're cool and nice, but that's not, right? There will be a time we'll bring color back, but it's not green and it's not now. It's definitely not mint, let me tell you. All right? All right. There are a lot of green cars out there. That's what's happening. This is new. The color of the year. And this article featured a room. By the way, do not paint anything very Perry. It's an accent color. It's great for furniture. But just because you see these trends, do not fall for it. Faro and Ball wallpaper should be used judiciously, trendy, right? In a limited way in bathrooms, an accent wall. Blonde wood in kitchens is the new hot trend. Although that would be new construction, right? If you were doing building, doing a condo conversion. But right now, you're flipping a house with a seller for themselves, stick with the white. There may be times where navy would really work. All right. And with that, can I have my three guests come up? Oh, and just, you can come up, we're gonna talk in a second. So I'm gonna just start with this clip. It's not Sex and the City. Del, you're the one that brought this to my attention. Oh yeah, what's the show is called, And Just Like That. All right, so here we go. That's a great line. If you ladies want to come up, buyers are not that complex. They're like dogs with money. We snap our fingers and they'll do what we say. So I've asked these lovely ladies to come up and join us. The people who are sharing a mic should definitely be next to each other. There you go. And we try not to be right in front of the, if possible. All right. So this show is yours, ladies.
Well, hello, everyone. I hate public speaking, so let's just start off by just clearing the air. I hate public speaking. But I did this because Linda asked. My name is Nakan Goldstein. I'm a real estate agent out of the Melrose location. I am here with my colleagues, Kate Cody and Kristen Weekly. And today we're discussing how to nudge our reluctant sellers to do what's needed to prep and stage their home in an already crazy seller's market to really gain top dollar. So we wanted to share this clip to start off. It's from the new spin-off show, And Just Like That, where Carrie Bradshaw invites her real estate agent friend to come into her Manhattan condo, and it's nice to see. The biggest takeaway from this clip really is everything is about a sale. And, Seema suggests to Carrie, let's light a few diptyque candles. They're just luxury candles. They're not anything exciting, but, light that. And then, of course, she sees water stains. So she says, I can get a crew there tomorrow, essentially, to fix that. So these are just a few important things. As a real estate agent, I think it's important to exuberate that level of confidence that Seema has when we're talking to our sellers, to make them feel like we've got this, we know what we're doing and we're going to handle this for you, and these are the necessary steps. Now, do Kate, Kristen, and I have this type of approach like Seema? We're not as harsh and abrasive as she. However, our rather different approaches yield a similar, if not better, result. And so the next slide. So our topics of discussion for today really is, these are the questions that our sellers are asking us. Why do I need to do any work to my home when I'm going to receive multiple offers if I do absolutely nothing? If I agree to do the work, where do I even start? A very important question is, if I do the work, who's paying for it? Am I paying for it? Are you paying for it? Or are we sharing in this expense? And then lastly is, what is my return on the investment? And so Kristen's going to take over and go over sort of, why we should do this.
So can everybody hear me okay? All right. So I saw this meme last year, and I think a bunch of my realtor friends were posting it. And I really thought it illustrated kind of what we're up against really well, because a lot of sellers think, why do I even need you? On one hand, they want to be told what they need to do. They want our guidance. But at the same time, you sold a house, that's so difficult in this market. People don't really understand what goes into it and why it's so important, and why we need to do things like update, your colors, do a bathroom refresh, things like that. So for me, I go about it by really providing people with the education that they need, and also kind of trying to explain to them where buyers are coming from. If I can explain the buyer's mindset, if I can put them in the buyer's shoes, then they're going to understand why we need to do these things. And I also don't force anybody. I am the last person that's going to be you have to do this. You can't offer this. You can't, you need to do, if you don't paint the whole house, I'm not listing it. I'm never going to back somebody into a corner. I've been that buyer and I've been that seller with the realtor on the other side. And it's really, I think, been the most valuable thing in my career, because I know what not to do. So if we go to the next one. So here's just some examples of some sellers I've had. For example, the top pink bathroom was original to 1965, but my client was going to list the house for $700,000, and I was like, we really can't keep the bathroom. I said, I know that you've liked it the whole time. Obviously, it's very functional. It's in pristine condition, but we did a little refresh for about $2,000, and we got the picture on the right afterwards. The bottom, that doesn't show. Unfortunately, I'm really bad at my befores. Is some orange carpet and some very 1940s wallpaper. But they removed that, painted, did the floors, and then restaged. Who here can tell me how you felt when you walked into the house that you live in now, that you own? I'm looking for a volunteer, so somebody. Yes.
I felt like a serial killer. I hated it. I refused to move in without it being painted. So.
Okay. But like when you walked in, like at what point did you know it was for you?
That's a good question. I don't know if we bought during the pandemic, so it was kind of one of those quick decisions. We needed to get into something, and it suited our needs as far as the layout goes and what we were looking for, but just needed a little bit of a facelift before we moved in.
So you were able to see that,
Yeah.
but okay. Can I get somebody else? Yeah, Virginia.
I always tell my buyers, as soon as you walk in, you'll know.
Yeah.
And
So-
that's what I did with my house was a.
So our people at home can't hear people in the audience, so we can't really do this unless they're mic'd, so.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
So basically, so when you walk in, you'll know. Linda said earlier you have 3 seconds when looking at online photos. I've always been told that when you're walking into a house, you have 7 seconds. Like your buyer makes a decision in 7 seconds. So either you get really excited in the pit of your stomach, you kind of feel like, oh, this is the one, you get the butterflies. Or you just kind of feel like kind of let down. And I try to explain to sellers that once somebody walks in and your home makes a good impression, which obviously we're getting them in the door through professional photography, through staging, but once they're in that door, you have 7 seconds to get them to a yes or a no. And yes, can you change their mind once they're a yes to a no? Yeah, you can, but it's hard. And can you change them from a no to a yes? Yes, but it's really difficult. Like what we want to do is we want to get them excited from the second they walk in the door. And the way we do that is through making the property look Instagram worthy. People want to, and most sellers get this, especially my clients, which tend to be under 40. Like I'm a millennial, so I tend to work with clients about my age or a little bit younger. So they understand the whole thought of like how things look online these days. And they understand that someone wants to walk in and feel proud, feel like this is a house that they can show off. And so I find that when you explain that to people, when you're giving them the education, you're giving them the options, they really are very willing to talk to you more about, okay, like let's get some estimates for painting. Let's definitely look into staging. Like they can see why it's so important. And we also review, I find it's really important to give people data as well, because I'm a data nerd. People love, or at least my clients, love to have me explain the data to them. And when I'm showing them properties, when I'm showing them like the market report for their community that they're selling their home in, I pull up the comps, but I'm also bringing like the market report that shows, okay, at this price point, from my average price point is about $600,000. So from 5 to 600,000, people are paying an average of 107% over asking. So they're expecting to pay over. Like there is no limit. Buyers determine market value. So we need to show them that this property is a good value and one that they're willing to pay over the asking price for. Because if it doesn't look good online, which it's not going to if we're not staging it, especially if it's vacant, and if we're not giving it modern colors, like buyers aren't going to be willing to even go see it. Because again, they're going to look through with that 3 seconds and they're going to just move on. So I found that, when I explain it to people, my sellers are really willing to listen to what I have to say and are willing to invest the money and the time into, the painting, the staging, especially when I say that, I'm more than willing to manage this for you. And that's kind of where Kate comes in.
So sellers are going to ask, where do I even begin? And as the real estate professionals, we're obviously going to give them a list. For most people, most houses, older homes in our area, it's going to be painting, refinishing hardwood floors, staging. And I'll say painting a lot, and really what I mean by painting is updates. That might also include new countertops, stainless steel appliances, new bathroom vanities, light fixtures. We're going to give them that list. But how do we get that reluctant seller who's either checked out mentally, they might be checked out financially and don't have the funds to do that? How are we going to get them to come on and see our side? I kind of have 5 steps that I go through with my sellers, and it starts with planting the seed. Then I build them up. Then I blame millennials. Then I give them examples, and finally offer solutions. So how do I plant the seed? My initial call with a seller, before I ask them anything about their house, I am saying, I'll give you my 3 little secrets I tell all sellers. We're gonna edit. That's a fancy word for junk removal, so we're not insulting them. We're gonna edit, we're gonna paint, and we're gonna stage. That's how I get my sellers top dollar. I know nothing about their house, I haven't insulted them, and I move on. I planted the seed. And then when I actually go to visit their home, I physically bring maybe 3 or 4 slides of before and after photos. And before I tour their home, I'm handing it to them. Again, I'm saying, I haven't seen your home, but I thought it might be helpful to share some of my before and after photos of sellers that I've worked with and they've been able to get top dollar. Take this with a grain of salt. It might not apply to your home. Again, I haven't insulted them. So that's my planting the seed. My next step is I build them up. I do not walk around their house and say, paint all the woodwork white, rip up that carpet, refinish that hardwood floor, we need stainless steel appliances in here. I walk around with them and I say, oh my God, that orange wallpaper, that must have been so expensive and high-end back in the day. Someone had such forward thinking to do wall-to-wall carpet with 6 kids in this house over these hardwood floors. It's protected them all these years. I am building it up. Find something nice to say about the house. Then I say to them, you don't have to do any work. How many people have walked into a house and the first thing the person says is, I'm not doing any work? I back them into a corner if I walk in the house and I say, we have to do all this work. So we've walked around the house. I tell them how fabulous it is, even if it's not. I then say, you don't have to do anything. This is a seller's market. We can sell your house. It's just how much of a discount do you want to take on the sale price? Next, I blame millennials. I apologize for any millennials in the room. I'm making a gross assumption, but buyers really feed off this. And if your seller is a millennial, I blame HGTV and Instagram. So I tell my sellers, the biggest buyer market right now are millennials. They have high-paying jobs, and they will pay top dollar for HGTV and Instagram-worthy homes. They also don't own a paintbrush. They don't even know how to use a paintbrush. We have to give them a product that they're gonna walk in and fall in love with. I also talk about how those millennial buyers, who are most likely their target market, will overlook really big, important things like an end-of-life heating system or knob and tube wiring or 100-year-old slate roof that hasn't been maintained. They'll overlook all that if they fall in love with the decor. And they can't fall in love with someone else's decor. We need to HGTV-vise this. I also spend a lot of time talking about who their target market is, as well as who their buyer pool is. A home that is not painted, not staged, doesn't have cosmetic updates, you're really limiting your target pool. It's either going to be, depending on condition, investors or buyers who max out at a certain price point. By doing these cosmetic updates, you're going to expand your buyer pool. We're still going to have those investors and buyers who can't afford much more. And that's going to help us create competition. But now we have this whole other buyer pool who wants move-in ready. That's how we get you the most money for your home. So now that I've blamed millennials, I then give them examples. This house happened to be in Melrose that we sold this year. This was one where we walked in the door and the seller said, I'm not doing anything. And I walked around and it had the orange wallpaper and the carpet. And I said how fantastic it was. Seller ended up spending $23,000 on updates. We gave them a price if they were to sell as is. It was around $580. They probably would have gotten multiple offers in Melrose at $580. They probably would have sold around $650. We spent $23,000. We listed it for $625, which I think is important to share with your sellers that doing this work does not mean you increase your list price by $100,000. We increased our list price up to $625 from $580, but we sold it for $806. We increased our buyer pool. And then finally, I offer them solutions. So this happened to be an estate, and it was a number of siblings. One of them was the trustee. She didn't want to put any more money or effort because she wasn't getting assistance from the siblings and didn't think it would pay off in the end. My solution is I offered to pay for it up front. I paid for the $23,000 and all the work. It's my contractors, it's my painter, it's my stager, and I charge her a really high commission at the end. So I've done a number of these where I'm fronting the money for the updates. I'm getting a promissory note. I am involving the attorneys from the get-go before I write a single check. And I'm offering this solution to these sellers that from the end of our conversation, when I walked in the door and they said, I'm not doing any updates, was asking to pay me more money. She was wanting to pay me more money to do this for them. A lot of sellers are fully capable of doing it themselves, and therefore I don't charge them the higher commission, but I've gotten them to come around to see the importance of this by first empowering them to make a good decision. It's a business decision, and giving them the opportunity to choose which direction they want to go in. So that kind of goes to who should pay for this. You know, it's easy to say the seller should pay for this. A lot of homes that I've recently sold, there either wasn't the funds to do that, they had mentally checked out, or there was a complicated financial situation where it didn't make sense for one seller to be putting up the full investment. So we give them options. We give them solutions. And here are just a few more examples. Please swap out light fixtures. Please, please, please. It makes all the difference in the world. That photo on the bottom, that is an $89 light fixture from Amazon. It looks like a $600 light fixture that I have in my house. Total knockoff on Amazon, makes such a huge difference.
So I'll go back to this here. So who should pay for this? So my approach is I think it's amazing that you're able to charge a higher commission and you have that option to front the money and then get it at closing. I know a lot of agents, you know, they may not have that opportunity to have $30,000 sitting in a separate bank account where they can borrow and then, you know, feel comfortable getting it back at closing. What I like to do is similar to hers. I walk in and I do tell them, you know, this home's beautiful. However, you know, millennials and the current buyers will overpay for quote unquote move-in ready, regardless of the fact that the kitchen needs to be updated and the bathrooms need to be updated. It doesn't matter to them. They just want to know that they don't have to paint walls right away. So I like to I handhold my sellers. You know, I tell them I'll be with you the whole step of the way. Like if you need someone to help you with declutter, I've got a guy. If you need a painter to come and give you a quick price, I've got him. He can come tomorrow. If we need an electrician, I've got him too. And so I think it's really important to have these key contractors sort of on speed dial because they really do become your best friend. And I think Kate mentioned she's got an electrician who will drop everything. I've got one as well. And so making the sellers just feel comfortable that, you know, I don't know where to start, but, you know, my agent knows what she's doing, you know, or if you don't know what you're doing, then, you know, fake it until you make it. I mean, just talk it through with them, make them feel comfortable. And then from there, they're more open to doing the work that you're asking them to do. And so when it comes to staging, I know, you know, even some of my higher end listings, they just don't want to spend, you know, $4,000 for stuff that it's not theirs at the end, and it's just going to, you know, sit there for a weekend and then gets removed. So what I like to do is I like to work with the furniture that they have. So if a couch works in the space, if it fits in the space, then why not use it? It may not be the ideal couch, but, you know, the wall colors are neutral enough where, you know, that gray couch looks pretty beige to me in the space. I have a sort of a basement full of quote unquote home goods staging items that I have collected over the last 5 years. And it's all neutral white bedding, pretty blue throw pillows, a couple of nice art pieces, and I'll offer to lightly stage their homes. I'll only stage really what I can carry in my car. I have a mover that will help with smaller pieces of furniture, but I also don't have the space in my basement to hold on to it. So I mean, if it does need a dining room table, then we do go the staging route, and then I will offer to potentially split the cost with them if it's upwards of maybe $1,000 to $1,500. That's probably the most I'm willing to contribute. And that goes with painting as well. If I feel that it's very important to paint and it makes a huge difference, and my sellers push back on it, then I'll offer a credit, a commission reduction, assuming that I can charge the full commission. And that's just sort of my approach to, trying to be cost effective to myself, but also knowing that it's important and the return is there, and they just have to agree to it. And I know Kristen has a different approach that she'd like to share.
Yeah, I've had the same stager for my entire career, who was given to me. So, well, not given to me, but like I was provided his information from my mentor originally. And so he's helped me stage every part of my listings. He's very affordable. You only get his name if I really like you, because I can't have him be too busy. But I have always included that as part of my package. I don't pay for the painting typically. I don't pay for the refinishing of the floors. I will coordinate it, but that's always been part of my personal package. When he retires, I'm going to probably be paying more than $500 for staging. So I'm probably not going to continue doing that, but that's just something that I've always done, because most of my sellers are in a very similar position that I was 5 years ago when I sold my house. They don't have a lot of additional funds. They don't have the ability to really do certain things and to refresh their house, and without me being willing to help them with some of that, they wouldn't be able to do it. So I just have a slightly different seller and buyer pool than I think a lot of the leading edge agents that are in different offices that I am. So.
And so lastly, what is the return on investment? So it's hard to pinpoint the exact dollar amount of someone investing, say, $5,000 and what that relates to. But I think between the three of us and having a conversation yesterday, it could range into the six figure. I know the market brings it into the six figure if you price it a certain way, and everyone assumes that, folks are paying 10, 15, 20% over asking. But I do think that those homes that you're spending 20% over asking, that they've done a level of staging and prep work that makes a buyer in today's market feel comfortable spending at the top of their budget. So there's really, it's tricky to put a price point. I'm just going to share one of my stories, and Virginia's buyers were the ones that actually bought the top. So here's an example of a Melrose listing that I had where they had already removed the asbestos tile, but they never finished it, and there was heat down there, and it's plastered walls. And I said, well, why are we not finishing the floor and making it look usable? Because that's an extra 250 square feet of living space that I can capture when I'm selling the home. And they said, well, great idea, but we don't have anyone. So I had a contractor come in, and I think they paid about $4,500, and we ripped the carpet off the stairs, we painted the floors, we freshened up the walls, we put an old college couch of his, and it looks like a brand new space. Folks walked downstairs and they said, oh my God, there's living space now in the basement. And I said, there is. So Virginia's buyers were the lucky ones to get it. And that sold for, what did we, $250,000 over asking? If not more. Yes. So I already priced it at the top of the market. It was move-in ready, but of course, folks walked in and realized there was actually 3 levels of finished space, not just 2. So, so I think the return on investment is, it ranges from property to property, but I see the value in doing this work and spending the $4,500 to gain, $250,000. I think any seller would want to see that type of return. So we're just going to open it up for questions.
It's hard to do questions here because of the thing, but can we all say thank you very much for all of this? That's a really great presentation. Blame the millennials and HGTV. I love it. Thanks so much. By the way, this is just the Linda O advice. Who makes out when it's staged and painted? Who benefits? All day long. This is a seller cost. On our team, we do not pay for any. We're just not as nice as them. I'm just telling you, we're not as nice. However, we get people to do these things. Now, some people have contractors who will get paid at closing. Use the promissory note. Might not be your own money, but we do have people, I can tell you who they are. It's like our Go service who will come out and refresh a kitchen, do bathrooms. Curbio will come out. And they do a beautiful job, very reasonably. Their costs are unbelievable. You can use Curbio too. So it doesn't have to be your money. And Kate has a lot of examples of getting her 6%. You should, when you become the general contractor, you should be compensated. You know? So thank you, ladies. That was just great. All right. This is, for some of you who have seen this 100 times, I apologize, but this is the system portion of boot camp. This is a very abbreviated, I usually do this in an hour and a half to 2 hours, psychology of listing. But this system is how you prep or prime or set the seed, as Kate said, your seller to be more cooperative. It is the phone conversation that takes place before you get to the house. Now, this is Wilt Chamberlain. Some of you have been in this company for 10 years. I've been doing the psychology of listing for probably 15 or 20, and you use 3 of the questions on the phone because you just haven't changed your mind. If boot camp has done nothing else, aren't you open-minded to really adopting systems? Now, these are the systems that are coming from people, are you ready? Who don't pay for staging, who get people to cooperate, or to understand, and this is the point of it, to understand why they're not going to make their money. And these 3 ladies were awesome at outlining that. What's the discount? But I want to tell this Wilt Chamberlain story because Wilt Chamberlain had a high-scoring game and when he was playing, and at that day, he scored over 100 points. No one has ever done that in the NBA before. He scored 28 of 32 free throws. His average was 40%. He was a terrible, terrible free throw shooter. But he took a little nod from Rick Barry, who had the highest NBA free throwing thing in the 90 percentile. That's unheard of. Rick Barry shot granny style, underhanded. And in this particular game, he shot underhanded. Had the game of his life, and then never shot underhanded again. And guess what happened to his free throw score? Plummeted right back down. Why would someone not do what was really good for them? It's different. You didn't want to stand out. Even a superstar like that, who showed he could be successful with it. Probably someone kidded him. And that's what we're afraid to do something different. When I suggest you should be on the phone for at least 45 minutes with every seller before you go to the house, people go, I'm not going to take all that time. At our team, that's what we do. Because I wanted to figure out how to get listings before I met them, before I discussed commission, and before I decided a price. How am I going to get them to want to list with me? It was a game for me, right? And this was the winner. By the way, every question, you don't have to write any of these down. They are up unless you're not with Leading Edge yet, in which case you better write them all down because you don't get them until you join. But anyway, they're the seller pre-qual questions in the seller stuff. If you're ready to do something different and really ask the questions before you go out there, it transforms the experience. You get much more cooperative sellers, or at least they understand why. So I think no one does like to be told what to do. Kate's right. They're looking for your advice and guidance. That's why they called you out. But if I just asked you by show of hands, who here likes to be told what to do? No one's going to raise their hands. So you've got to use therapy. You've got to be like their therapist to get them to want to do what you need them to do, to work in their own best interest. So, stop being a self-promotional jerk on your real estate listing appointments. Hi, we're with Leading Edge, and we have #1 market share, and I sold this many houses. Nobody cares. I know people, I think you care, they don't care. It's all about me. How are you going to help me? This empowers you. If you're not selling a lot of real estate, this is the way to do it. Lean into these systems. This is what, I showed this the first day of boot camp. It's still my favorite. But good systems prevent you from hanging upside down from the chairlift with your pants around your ankles. If you haven't gone through this, you're going to get objections later. People aren't going to want to price right. People aren't going to want to stage if you haven't primed the pump. You haven't planted the seed, as Kate said. There are 9 objections to every listing. You should cover those before they have to ask. You should cover how you price. What is your pricing strategy? You need to cover condition and how it affects sale. You need to cover commission. And I love Ramsey's line. You are on your heels the minute they say to you, what do you charge? You need to tell them in advance. It's part of our listing presentation. This is how the commission works. Print and media advertising, as if we're not doing that, but they have expectations of being the Architectural Digest and the Wall Street Journal. Online marketing, how do you handle that? Do they have a beautiful kitchen that's Pinterest-worthy in the backyard, an outdoor kitchen? How are you going to leverage their online marketing? Showing and feedback. Are you using showing time? Love showing time. But don't use the regular questions. Like, we've developed all the questions. It is not really helpful when you ask a buyer, because I think these are the standard questions, did you like the house? Does that help your seller? Lots of people like the house. Doesn't mean they're buying it. The question you want to ask is, will they be coming back for a second showing? Now, isn't that helpful? Change it. Communication and market updates. What's our communication cadence? How often will you hear from me? I'm going to be in touch every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday till the end of the transaction. Whatever it might be. Set it, put it in your calendar, and make sure you talk to them. Photos and staging. How important they are. You just heard all that. I don't need to go into that. The team structure and benefit. Hey, you're by yourself. You're a solo agent. You have a team. Yes, you do. You have Leading Edge. You have your home inspector. You have painters. You have our house counsel. You've got a huge team if you're at Leading Edge. Okay, you are a therapist. How does therapy work? When you go to the therapist and you need help, do they tell you what to do? They do not. They ask you questions. That's how they get you to come to the conclusions you need to come to help yourself. That's exactly the theory here. Ask questions on the phone. It's called motivational interviewing. That's what the therapists call it. Motivational interviewing. Oh, sorry about that. Motivational interviewing. You can inspire people to want to do things by asking them questions so they're thinking about it. The phone. This is your first phone conversation. I want you to eliminate right now from your vocabulary the term opinion of value. You are never, ever again going to do a comparative market analysis, because that's what everybody else is doing. When your neighbor refers you to their cousin and the cousin calls you and they say, Kate, I'd love you to come over and give me a price on my house. Right? I'd love you to come over and give me a market analysis. You are setting yourself up for failure if you say, I'm glad to come over and give you a price on your house. I'm glad to come over and give you a market analysis. Because you're doing what everyone else is doing. Everyone is coming over and giving them a price on their house. And if that's the case, what happens? Who do they want to hire? Right? Steve doesn't even know what he's doing. He's a good sport, but he doesn't know what he's doing. He's competing against me. You know what he's going to tell him? Way more money. He's going to charge him less. Because he has no confidence in what he's doing, and he wants to buy the listing. Right? I'm up front with every single person on the phone. They hear every single time. I just want to let you know, I'm probably going to charge you more, and I'm probably going to give you the lowest price. But I'm going to get you more money than anyone else. That's why you'll hire me. Set the expectations on the phone. Let them know right now. Because that is what's going to happen. If you haven't set the expectations, they're going to hire Steve. Lord knows he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Right? Not a good idea. Although, if you're paired with Ramsey, you're going to be fine. Right? That's how you start in a team. Into a strategy for success. From now on, when Michelle calls me and says, Linda, will you come over and give me a price in my house? I do not say yes. I say, Michelle, part of what I do is help you giving a pricing strategy. But that's not why you called me. This confuses them because that's exactly why they called me. They want a price on their house. Right? But that's the thing. You're changing the paradigm right now. You didn't call me for a price in the house. You called me on strategies on getting the most money when you sell. This is the key word. This is like only the part you take away. That's the key thing. You did not call me for a price in your house because I have nothing to do with the price in the house. The market determines the price. The product you put on the market determines the price, not me. I'm here to guide you, help you create the best product for market, and help you strategize on the price. If you don't do that, they're going to list with Steve. And that's what happens. There's not a person here that hasn't lost a listing to some bozo, right? Watch them overprice it, even in this market, and then what does it sell for? Maybe even less than you told them, because if you start too high, the discount's 4%, generally. Go to battle with questions. All right. One of the things we've been doing is if you call for an opinion of value or a CMA, we say, listen, have you ever used virtual reality goggles? No, we haven't. Well, we're going to drop some off. We're going to send some over. We might order them on Amazon and have them directly dropped over. Then someone on the team is going to send them, our assistant is going to send them links to the Matterport tour so they can experience firsthand all by themselves. This is what we do for people. By the way, they've never had AI goggles on, so this is this different? Have you just distinguished yourself as being totally different than anyone else in the market? Absolutely. By the way, if you're doing this, your AI tour provider needs to check a little box on it, or it won't work. Just a simple thing, just let your Matterport person know you're doing it. Key question on the phone. And by the way, this is a great conversation icebreaker at your next party. Right? Next time you're out with friends. You can do this with it. I can do it with my CEO group. It is a fun thing. Listen, on a scale of 1, you're on the phone now. On a scale of 1 to 10, you haven't seen the house. You don't even know where they live yet. How would you rate your house? Number 1 being, this place is a disaster. It's a tear down. Bring in the bulldozers. Or number 10, it is in an A+, highly desirable location. When you pull up from the curb, it is gorgeous. The landscaping is perfection. The house is freshly painted. Everything's intact. When I walk through the door, I notice it's painted in today's hip, trendy, neutral colors. It looks like it's just been furnished for a photo shoot for Architectural Digest. And the kitchens and baths are state-of-the-art. How do you rate your house? And people say, oh, they say a 10. No, they don't. You've just set the bar so high, they're pretty realistic. The most common answer is 7, because everyone's house, just like their children, is better than average. That's just how it goes. But the beauty isn't in this question, it is in the follow-up question, which is, what would it take to make it a 10? This is a system. You got to go through this top to bottom. When you ask this question, what do they tell you? Everything that's wrong with their house. Are you telling them something's wrong? Oh, my kitchen's older. Geez, the house needs to be painted. Oh, our street's a little bit busy. Now they're starting to, in their own head, hear the flaws and the compromises in their house, and you're not telling them. This is a really important part of the process. Have you been following the market? You need to know that. Because often they know, especially, remember in 2010, they knew their neighbor was asking $750. They didn't know they got $580, right? Important question, but you need to know what they're thinking and what house they're referring to. Write it down. Because it's going to be really, really important when they say, you know what, if that house in my neighborhood just sold for $850, another one's over here sold for $9, I think I'm worth $950. And then you need to come back and say, no problem. We can get you $950, but you are going to have to build a 2-car garage and a family room. No problem. You could do it with a little fun, right? But they need to know they don't really compete. It's not the same. Why are you moving? You need to know, because you have to remind them the whole time when they're not cooperative why they're really moving. And by the way, if it's just this market's really hot and if I can get what I want, which is totally unrealistic, that is a big red flag that you don't want to be the first realtor on that, because they're never ever going to get it. Let them list with Susie Lou. If it's a crazy, never going to happen. Because otherwise they're going to list with you, you're going to fail for 5 or 6 months, and then you're going to get fired because they're going to blame you, not their price, for the reason. Please share any concerns you have during the pandemic. If there are people, nervous or people in the house, you need to know that. Agency. Right now, the new rules are, if you're starting to talk real estate and you're doing things digitally, you need an agency form. Clear your conscience. This is like reading them the Miranda rights. Listen, on the phone, you haven't hired me yet. Please don't tell me anything on the phone that you wouldn't want to tell me in case you don't hire me and I represent the buyer. You can sleep at night, right? You can sleep at night. And by the way, they'll still tell you way more than they should before they hire you. But at least you've done the right thing. Where are you going? We have a relocation department. People are missing out on referrals all the time. It's crazy. And I know it. I get it. You go on leading edge discussions and say, does anyone have a great realtor in Miami? No, Ann Anderson does. Just call Ann. You can download a little form on Moxie and submit it to her, and she will get you an awesome agent and follow the transaction.
For free.
For free. For free. Thank you, Steve. For free. She doesn't take a penny. But we're invested in you getting your referral fee. When do you want to be there? Whenever it sells is not nearly as good as my kids want to start school in September. How much do you want to sell for? People are always scared of asking. This is the question they skip all the time. You do not know. You are setting yourself up for failure if you do not know what the seller thinks. Because you need to come in and say, good news, you know how you want 680? I think we can do a little bit better if we stage you to follow my advice. Or, not a prayer. But this is why. But if you don't know what's inside their head, I used to walk into appointments going, oh. So I used to start with, just want to let you know you're going to want to kick me out the minute I tell you what our pricing strategy is and what I think you're going to get. I just let them know up front. How did you arrive at that price? Have you been on tour? Did you go inside and see that house? Yeah, I know. Mary had it look way better online than it really was, wasn't it? There's a famous story there. Are you interviewing other agents? You need to know. Is Redfin offering them some huge discount? You need to know what you're up against. What do you expect from the agent you hire? Everyone has, don't assume that they just want top dollar. Most people do, but there are some turtle drivers. That's all they're about. Some people just need help and organization. Some people just need your resources. Some people want better communication because the last time they sold, their realtor was on the lam and they never heard from them. Some people want open houses. Some people don't want open houses. Listen to them. How will you measure success in a relationship? Some people will be like those drivers in the analyticals when I get my money. If I get there on time might be the answer. If I'm still standing at the end of the day. If I'm able to find the house I want because I have to buy and sell. Find out. On the phone, how long have you lived in your home? It's going to tell you really quick. We've been here since 1968. It's going to give a very different vision of what's going on. Do you have a second mortgage or home equity? I can't tell you how many people think they don't have to pay that off when they sell their house. Is the money you say you need more important than getting your home sold and moved by? This confuses them because they want it all, right? They want their home sold for top dollar exactly when they want it sold. But it positions money versus time. Does anyone in your home smoke? Geez, Linda, why do you ask? I just want to let you know that if I can tell someone smokes when I go in, that's going to be a serious discount on your house. Because you need to ask these questions on the phone because you can't walk into anyone's house and tell them it stinks. Same with pets. when someone says, yes, Linda, we have 9 cats. There's nothing worse, nothing worse than the old cat that's been peeing on the floor, because you know you can't fix it without ripping up the floors.
I got that going right now.
You got that? It is, yeah, and it is, but you got to deal with it. And I will tell you, when you've asked these questions on the phone, before you get there, you'll be greeted at the door, and they're going to ask you right away if you can smell anything. Reserve judgment until you walk through the house, because you can make a mistake on that. It might really be bad. It might be a room in the back where someone smokes. It might be, the cat's upstairs, whatever it might be. Ask them for their contact information, and then follow up with, and what is your preferred method of communication? Do you want to email? Do you want to text? You want to call? Sometime I'm going to want to talk to you. If they say, I only want to text, going, sometimes we're going to need to talk. Let them know that, because you need to hear their voice. Tone's really important in negotiation. These realtors who are negotiating by text, that's crazy. All right, now you go through every single room in the house with a fine-tooth comb. You are going to know everything. You're going to ask them, first of all, your public records are probably wrong. But what you're really doing here is letting them know that these things are important. Do you have any wallpaper? Right? What is the hardware in your cabinets? What's the tile in your bathroom? Oh, it's that pink and black tile, the very 1940s. Or we have white subway tile. Or we really don't have tile. It's just that Formica that are on all the walls. You're going to know what's going on. And I will tell you, if you get all these questions answered right down to, is there any, what is this? This is any audible train or highway noise. What you're doing is putting in your head like, that must be important. My realtor is asking me this. And by the way, the best part of this is, are any of the other agents going through this on the phone? No. They're just so damn excited to get a listing and have a listing appointment that they're going over without being prepared. If you don't want to lose, put a system in place that gives you the lowest risk of losing. And doing these things up front gets very cooperative sellers. Details of the wallpaper question is like, yes, the worst question I ever heard was, yes, Linda, we've had it in the closet for 10 years. We put it up last week before we called you. It was a round dining room. And it was not, it might have been all right 10 years ago. But it is what it is. Are you planning to sell your house as is? Or are you looking for the best return on investment? That's haven't I positioned it as either or? You can sell it as is, or are you? Are you thinking of selling your home yourself? People don't want to ask this. Oh, I don't want to sit. I know they know the market's really good. I don't want them to go for sale by owner. There's amazing stats. The for sale by owners are selling for 11% less. Is that a stat you want on your next listing appointment? On average, 11%. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, have you ever seen The Price is Right? Oh, yes, we have. Well, I just want to let you know that real estate works just like The Price is Right. How do you win at The Price is Right? Why? See, if I recall, it's the person who guesses highest to the fair market value without going over. By the way, that's exactly how you win in real estate. You go closest to the fair market value without going over. That attracts the most buyers. This is where we bribe them. I was raised by a mom with 5 kids. She's like, bribery will get you everywhere. On the phone, you say, and by the way, it's part of the symbolic gesture of backing up. Listen, I'm going to be asking you to really edit your house. I love that. Declutter. Do you need some packing boxes? It's time to start. We'd be glad to send them to you. And Biz Boxes Inc. will send them to you with your name, your brand, whatever you want on them. I think it's $129, $140, I don't know how much it is, but it's worth it because if they receive your boxes, they almost can't not list with you. Right? How could you not list with the person who sent you boxes? It's the rule of reciprocity, you have to give back. Show me your house and sell it to me. This is when I get there. Let them sell it to you. Take notes. Take copious, crazy notes. When you're taking notes with people, if you're not taking notes and thinking, she didn't remember that? Did she know that? She didn't write that down. And by the way, they don't list like you thought in 2 weeks. You list it 3 years from now, you don't remember anything about the house. But now you've got all your notes. And as we did on the first thing, you've got them all on your little iPad, right? And now you can call them up. You've got a file. So smart. But the note things are very psychological. And I learned this from your mother, Ramsey. When Ramsey was a little brat, when he was a kid, he wanted a popsicle, or he wanted to play outside, or he didn't, whatever his complaint was. My sister did this crazy thing. I remember watching it. She'd take a piece of paper and go, let me write that down, Ramsey. It appeased him. Even a kid, his brother. It's very powerful. Don't miss that opportunity. We have a red flag checklist. This is a really cool thing to go over with any seller, especially in advance when you know there are power lines, when you know there's a really steep driveway, when you know that the only bathroom in some of these old houses is on the first floor, not where the bedrooms are on the second floor, which is functionally obsolescent. If you go through this list, you go through these things, and it's not you telling them there's a problem, it's the list, right? Geez, I train noise. So it's like the first column is it, in the house? Is this part of the house? And then would it affect value? Of course it affects value. The answer is always yes if you check the first box. But then you in front of them going, oh, that will affect the value. And now you're not telling them about the problem. Totally ripped this off from a relocation company many years ago. Updated. Your professional fee. Yeah, it was funny in your notes, Kate, you said, I don't even offer the 4%. I'm not even doing it. I do like that as an anchor, and every now and then there's somebody who just is up for a discount. Remember, there are people, and it might be about 12%, they're just driven by bottom dollar. They will hire a terrible agent if it's a cheaper commission. That's how they shop. They take the cheapest one. Just like there are people who are perfectly willing to pay more for anything. So, people want a choice. People like it better if they have choices. So when you're asked about the commission, your response can be, it can be 5%, I charge 6%, I charge 2%, whatever it is you can do. But it might be really nice to say, you have a choice. You get to pick your commission. Is anyone else offering this? No, this also distinguishes you from everyone else. By the way, we have a 7% option, which includes everything. We come and water your plants. We'll do open houses every week till your house sells. We pay for some staging. We have our GO program. We'll front up to $50,000, which, by the way, is never out of our pockets. Almost always our contractor who does this. We do everything for you. This is what's called anchoring. No one takes the 7% plan. But doesn't 6 and 5 look a lot better compared to 7? That's the anchoring. That's why you need to offer it. We have a 6% plan. And that's kind of like what Kate's doing with the staging and all of those things. We do open houses every other week. It has all these little things. It's right in your listing presentation. And we have the 5% plan, which is, by the way, the Matterport tour and all the things that we're doing. We'll do open houses every 3 weeks. It's got a plan. You can change this in your listing presentation to be whatever you want to offer. But what's really important in all of these, look at the bottom. No matter what these fees are, we're only offering 2.5% to the other side. I'm personally not keen on these people who think I deserve 3, and I'm only offering 2. When they haven't done anything special, they just want to keep 3. That doesn't work for me. That co-broke is to incentivize people to buy the house. That is the intention. And by the way, that is an old school thing. Like, I'm buying Globe ads, so it costs me money to list, so I deserve 3%. I'm telling you right now, buyer's agents deserve 8%. I mean, if you're getting something accepted in this market, make sure you're paying them. You want to be paid. That's how your reputation is. That's how you want to proceed. So there's our 5% plan. Now there's a 4% plan where, okay. Should buyers request that their agent be paid more than 2.5%? Should be paid more than the 2.5% in MLS compensation? That amount will be paid on the seller's proceeds. I think I need to fix that. That should be 2%. You're only going to offer 2 with your 4% plan. But here's the beauty of the 4% plan. Listen, all those things I did, I can do your house for 4% too, but I'm going to do what anybody else who offers you 4% does. Kim Izzy came, panicked one day. They want the 4% plan. They don't care about anything else. I feel so guilty. I want to do the Matterport. I want to, like, they didn't ask for that, Kim. They had a choice. Our team will look back. We'll have a nice photographs. We're going to be fine. And he was happy with it. And she got out of a lot of work. And she got 2%. So that's okay. The other thing that I, and Steve and I have developed over the years, a presentation, how to get paid what you work. Listen, how common is it when they say, you know, the people over at Century 21, the people at Coldwell Banker, the people at Berkshire Hathaway, they're going to do it for 4. And that's what I can do for 4. But you know what? You can get all my 5% services if we do it for 4.5. Right? I'm going to give it 2.5. And we're only going to offer 2 to the co-broke. If that co-broke asks for more than 2%, don't fret, because his offer has to be way higher than any other offer to make up the difference. We'll make sure you net more money with that offer. And by the way, if you're a buyer's agent, why not get paid? If they're going to have a great escalation clause, that escalation clause can cover that extra 0.5%. And we're seeing that done successfully in this market. There are agents who are collecting either from their own client or through the commission. That's your decision. All right, we're going to wrap up boot camp right now. See the hot chocolate? A lot of you asked about hot chocolate. For you at home, if you would like to come to the last boot camp and you're virtual, some of you might like to join us. We're going to have a little party. We're going to freeze our asses off because it's going to be cold on Friday. Bring your mittens. Eileen and I, by ourselves, are making real hot chocolate. None of this water crap, none of this Swiss Miss crap. Steve said, you can just buy it at Dunkin' Donuts and go, oh, mine will taste like chocolate. It's going to be nice and chocolatey, all right? So I thought after boot camp, we could sit outside, we just stand outside. I've got some boot camp Yetis. So if you're planning to come virtually, or if you're not here today but you're coming on Friday, I'm only making hot chocolate for people who sign up, because it's going to be a pain in the ass to do, but I'm willing to do it. So if you don't order your hot chocolate, you're not going to get it. And then I have a question for people here. Who here in this audience today has been thinking about this yoga thing? And I don't want to push yoga on people, but yoga, I just want to say, changed my life. I have a plate in my foot. You know, my big toe doesn't even go to the ground anymore, but I couldn't walk. I couldn't exercise. And I started to do yoga. And then I busted up and tore my ACL skiing in Switzerland, and I was all scheduled for surgery, and I just kept getting on the mat. I couldn't bend my leg. I couldn't straighten out my leg. My leg was a mess. I just kept the yoga. And then 2 weeks before the surgery, the surgeon, like, you know, the pre-op thing goes, you have such stabilization in your leg. What is it? I said, I think it's the yoga. He's going, if you're not going to play basketball and volleyball, if you wear brace skiing, you know, you don't have to have the surgery. And I got through no surgery because of yoga. I was in the chiropractor 2 to 3 times a week, paying out of pocket because I couldn't move my neck from all the phone things I've been on. Anybody else have a neck issue, back issue? It's because you're on the phone and you're in the car and you're sitting. Yoga fixes it. I am a huge yoga proponent. And by the way, I thought it was the wimpiest, earthiest, crunchiest thing. I have nothing to do it. It's too quiet for me. When you get into it and you feel the stretch and you start to breathe and you clear your head, I've done 30-day challenges where, you know, okay, I'm not 30 anymore. But I remember after 30 days of yoga, I was like, I feel like I'm 26. I feel amazing. So in the build-up, I'm just wondering, is there anybody here, and who's serious, who would like to commit to doing some yoga going forward? I mean, really, like once or twice a week. Okay, well then let's give you some yoga mats. Anybody else want to commit? This is for you. Can you give this back? Oh, yeah. All right. Oh, no, I got lots more. Here we go. If I don't have enough for you, I'll bring more, but we have yoga mats for you. So I will just come up and collect your yoga mats, Julie and Courtney and Beth and Drew, love to have you. So Friday's our last boot camp. We're going to embrace our weird on Friday. We're going to have a nice finale of Ted Lasso, so I'm going to ruin it all if you haven't caught up. And Nancy Pilata is going to talk about challenging clients and situations. So it should be really great fun. Can't wait to see you on Friday. Take care. Thank you, Carol. I love your guest speakers.